Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Dennis Brown, and we are joined by Darren Lewis, Mark Ray, and Dean Miners. Dennis, these gentlemen here have grown into what we would consider very good role models. They were role models when they played sports, and they've just continued. As we know, we have two educators and a fireman, first responder. That's what you guys are called now. Beaver?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And all of them have
essential service, no.
Well, essential service, yeah. Well, what one would consider leaders in their own right.
I mean,
but then it's just watching these guys grow in their sport back in the day. What's your thoughts on what you're going to hear this evening from these guys?
Well, just looking at and welcome these guys on the show. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. One of the things I noticed about all of them is that they just didn't play one sport. I know Dean tried his hand at football a little bit, but yeah, Dean was pretty good. Dean was a pretty low number 9. Darren played football. I remember Darren playing for Devonshire Coast. Beaver played football, cricket, hockey. Whatever he wanted to, he was good at. So, you know, and like you said, they were all role models, like watching these guys come through. Darren was a big participant, and I've got some questions for him in that international youth tournament. Dean, definitely a real model for the youth in the St. George's community. And Beaver, I have a good history with Beaver. Beaver came and played for me at Wolves and took us to win the first senior championship. You know what I mean? And he was definitely a real model for the players that I had in Wolves, because you know some of them a lot of the screws weren't tighten up tight, and Beaver was the one to always try to keep things at a good level. So it's good. It's going to be good to hear about these guys' journey. We heard about Dean's journey a bit more, so we're going to talk about his multi-sport talents moving forward. So it's a pleasure to have you guys on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about when you guys got started. Shell cricket. Darren, you were in the Devonshire team with Beaver, I believe. Talk about the time in the Shell League with the team you had or the team you was with.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that was the beginning of the end of youth cricket when Shell went, unfortunately. Because that was a tournament that every youngster looked forward to. It was neighborhood, and there was some good competition. And I believe that was the breeding ground for the youth team that actually was successful in '85. Guys came, training and from all different clubs, but played for the parish. At Devonshire, I was blessed to have Beaver, Jason, Brian Morris, the Bean brothers, Troy, Scotty, Scotland, Greaves. We had quite a bit of talent that came through Devonshire, and we were successful for quite a few years there. I believe we won it 3 years in a row or something. But it was a great atmosphere, and the guys and the competition was good. When you went and played all the parishes, the competition was at a very good level, but also the camaraderie with the other players was good, which, sad to say, I don't see that a lot now, especially dealing with youth sports and things of that nature. And there's so much anger between different teams and different parishes and things of that nature. And it's disheartening to see that. And actually, I was just talking to somebody on the golf course this weekend, and I feel a big part of what we're losing is that neighborhood kick. Like when you used to go in every corner, Dennis would know, you see guys, putting rocks up as girls and they're playing football on any piece of grass. or you look see the trash tin. I mean, Beaver, John, my brother Albert, we play for hours in the backyard, hours. And believe it or not, that develops your hand-eye coordination, that develops your game. But now with internet, cell phones, it is a travesty that a lot of kids are not getting outside and enjoying, honing their game and their skills.
Beaver, what was that Devonshire team like for you?
Well, for me, it was grooming me. If again, like the people Darren was going to be Trot and the Beans, Darren himself, the leadership was a big thing with that. And again, at that time, I was probably number 9, number 10. That was probably bigger than me almost, But just going through that experience and that's what going through football, just the experience. So you learn from that. That's what you have to learn from the people up in front of you or above you. Where take note is the big thing. I feel you have to take note on seeing things being done, how it's done. Where as you get older, you do it naturally. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was just so good. Like Darren said, I feel that we have lost a lot of that, and that was something I think that helped clubs a lot because for instance with us Devonshire, I would say 3/4 of the people play for nationals, and it was like that where they stayed there at the club because that's where was our home base, and you end up staying there and playing there for years or whatever, So it was real good like that. But now, it's just, I don't know. It's hard right now.
Yeah. Dean on the East End?
We guys had remember we were combined. St. George's and St. David's were combined. So our team is really strong in the sense we had guys like Clay Smith, Troy Harford, Shea Pitcher, Philip Pitcher. We had Dale Fox, Troy Hall. So, and remember, 3 of us actually made it into the youth team, which was Dale Fox, Troy Harford, actually 4, Dale Fox, Troy Harford, Shea Pitcher, and myself. So, we pushed on and made into the youth team. But I think, just like these guys have said, it was a great opportunity to play up against, quality opposition. And at that time, to be honest with you, I mean, Devonshire was probably one of the teams that we wanted to play against and test ourselves against Devonshire. I mean, once they won it the first year and then they won it the second year, we knew that we had to be on our A game. And, it was fierce competition. You could go anywhere. I mean, you play against Warwick, you play against, Devonshire. Hamilton Parish was a really good team as well. So for a youngster to gain your confidence at that young age and to accept the loss, of course, you had to come back fighting and you had to. But like I said, at the end of the day, those guys they were putting in the work and you can actually see it on the field.
Yeah. Dennis?
Dean never talks about Somerset. Don't forget about the Basin brothers up
Yes.
Don't forget about Somerset.
Somerset didn't have a team. It was Sand.
They didn't. Send it.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes,
No such thing as Somerset. No such thing as Somerset.
So to you guys, because I used to enjoy, well, even as I was coming up, I used to play football and cricket. And how important is to you guys is for the BCB to get back to, like, because we used to play cricket all summer. Like, so how do they play? Like, how often do they play cricket now in these schools? Because, like Darren said, in relations to the neighborhoods, back then you had these schools, you had Sands, you had Warwick Sac, you had Warwick Academy, you had Whitney, you had St. George's, you had Robert Crawford. So it was like stiff competition, like in the schools playing. I remember playing against Pacer Edwardson, Warwick Sac, and he went Robert Crawford. Anthony Bailey and these guys at Sands. Barkley had a strong cricket team. So you know what I mean? And that taught us that they basically taught us the basic fundamentals of the game, because back then you had gym teachers who knew most sports. So my gym teacher, and this started with me at West End. So my gym teacher taught me us the basic fundamentals of football, cricket, track and field. So how important is it for cricket to be in the schools? Because I think that is where your foundation is. And so, how important for all you guys could answer the question? How important is cricket to be brought back into the school curriculum at some point, some way, somehow?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Dennis, 'cause I know if Cal Blackendale's listening, I will call you back, Cal. He did a message about that actual cricket in schools point. When I was the education officer, I guess some 12, 13 years ago, and Randy Horton was the minister, we made the decision to move track and field to March, to take it out of the summer term for two reasons. Well, three reasons. One was to get cricket into schools, so we're not, fighting with track and field. One of the other reasons was track and field used to be after Carifta. So if you had any kid that qualified or met qualifying standards at a inter-school meet, well, Carifta's finished. So we moved that earlier. So if they did meet Carifta qualifying standards, they are eligible for Carifta games. And the third one was, and this is probably more from a financial standpoint, is the field markers for the Ministry of Education would mark the fields from January to May. And just by having track and field in March, we basically, the ministry, $63,000 when I did the math. The sad part about it, cricket still didn't happen in the senior schools because we were fighting exams. And Dean would know when he was at Cedar Bridge, and Dean's been heavily in this discussion for years of still trying to ignite cricket in the school. And it's sad because I know, Dennis, if you remember, we played in an all-star game up Somerset.
Yep.
At one time, I remember playing in a game down at Santon Rangers, all-star cricket. It was just like the football all-star, East. So, I mean, we've definitely need to look at readdressing that. But I think the conflict with high school and the exams is what was the major sticking point. But we had exams back in those days too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it baffles me. But right now, I mean, I'm at Soltis now, and you don't see a whole lot of kids playing cricket. And it's something that we really have to spend some time in, with the history we have from the senior ICC and then the youth, World Cup. It's something that I think, as one of our national sports, we have to address.
You want to repeat the question, Dennis?
Yeah, about to be, but how important was playing cricket in school? Because I mean, I looked at some pictures of you guys when you guys were in Whitney. I said, mercy, the only team that probably beat you was Warwick Sack. And how important was playing cricket? Baby, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
How important was playing cricket, football, and general sports in school? How important was that?
I think it was your groom, your neighbors, you play with them every day. But going into something like that is almost like an all-star, how you're mingling with other people, seeing different levels, or put something to push yourself even. But cricket wasn't real strong at Whitney. I didn't feel. I think we only might have played like 1 year. I don't think cricket was that strong back at that time in schools. Shao was the real big thing. I knew Whitney, we played 1 year. I think that was probably it, because we had Albert in that. I never remember playing with Albert at Whitney, and he is 1 year ahead of us. Yeah. Kong was a year behind me, but that 1 year we had a real good team. Corey, Clay, Kong, bunch of us like that. But other than that year, I never remembered really in the school. Primary school was stronger, but that's when like Bob Jones used to be around during that
Yep.
time to push it. But it's something we have to get back to. And again, that's that's our national sport, more or less. Cricket was,
Yeah.
you know. Um Shao to me is the biggest miss with it all. I feel that was the biggest loss for youth sports in cricket anyway. Because that was something that just like if you look at when those people grew up and grew out, it weren't a whole lot left. You know, Shao was the thing that groomed a lot of people, a lot of quality players.
So a question to Beaver and Darren, and then also to Dean, who was a big influence on you guys, especially at National Sports Club? Because I remember watching you guys, like you said, Turby Trot, Sagas, and Beans, and Brian, and Joe, Jason, uh, and Beaver's brother, John. Who was a big influence on you guys as young cricketers at National Sports Club, and then the same thing with Dean at St. George's?
Yeah, well, when Mike came through, I mean, we were blessed to. Clarence Prophet was the captain and coach at Nationals,
Mm,
and Prophet used to meet me down Nationals 4 o'clock after school days, just him and I burling at a square um, for hours, But we also you had Bubba Woolridge, you had my uncle Barry Souza, you had Rupert Scotland, you had Tinty Ming, Blip Morris, Robert Gaglio. I mean, those were the years when I used to run the scoreboard, and
mm.
just hoping that somebody don't come and you pull your whites out of the closet and you fill in. You've run fine leg to fine leg, but
Mhm.
you couldn't wait for that opportunity, and I think at those times we used to watch, and like Beaver said earlier, you learn from watching. You learn. And then I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a team called the Wanderers that
Yeah,
Chummy Hayward used to put together, which was some of the better players from all over Bermuda. And they used to travel and
yeah,
they used to actually train at Nationals. So that's where I met Lionel Thomas and some of those guys, Sarah Brown and them, and just love going on here to watch them train and go chase balls around and stuff like that. But those were some of the guys that brought me through, and where I learned a lot of the game. And in all honesty, I mean, when I left Nationals, I went for a stint to Devonshire Rec for about 10 years. Then I was around, Barry Coop, Cope Trot, Sarah Brown, Joe Smith, Pacer,
mm,
Donald Norford. I mean, we had a squad then. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we would take four trophies out of the six most years, and that team was around, and I learned to have a lot from that group of guys as well. So I had a lot of guys to look up to, and that mentored me. And then eventually it became, when I went into the senior national team, it was Randall Smith, who was a student of the game that would talk cricket all night, and
mm,
is a tactician,
yeah.
and cricket is very much so, strategy and tactics and things like that. So, I was blessed to come around in that time, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Well, for me, that was a little earlier. Cricket almost finished at Nationals, I feel. A lot of that faded out with me when I was coming to my time. And we had a lot of the young shell guys playing in it. And people like Ronnie Medeiros, he hung around and he stayed there. There was a few other guys, Bruce Parent ended up, I think he was away and came back or something where, we had a team, but we were just competing again. We battled with Social Club at that time. Social Club wasn't a good team. You know what I mean? But
Right.
most of the other teams we played, please to make 300 runs, knock us out for 50. You know what I mean? But it was experience facing that speed, that pace, building, stuff like that. And it's just learning, man. Learning again, you gotta learn from it. One thing I always admired, like how Darren was talking about Randall, like when I went St. George's, cup match time, coming close to cup match. Like Randall, that's when you wanted to train, man. That guy, hey, it was like a different level, man. It was a different level of coaching, prepping for the games. You know what I mean? And things like that. And Darren had a lot of that in him too. Darren Clay, I feel very thinking all the time, thinking batsmen out. This is how we got to set the field for this person. Bill, drop him short, or different things like that. Make this guy play, and that was a big thing. You know what I mean? Then that's why I say, like, I wish I had the knowledge that I do now when I was younger. You know what I mean? Because hey, it's different levels, but you could just being around, and like I say, Darren was very good at it. Clay, to me, at being on a skipper, was very good at it. And then again, Vandal was the big man again for drills, doing anything, man. Cup match, I'm telling you, you felt like, yeah, I'm ready now. Because I never really put a lot of extra in. I was always doing something for me, because if it weren't cricket, it's hockey or football or whatever, just keep on going. The good thing for me, I think I was always fit as to from doing, but technical wise, man, hey, it was unbelievable. And like I say, it just took you to another level. And the thing is when you get to those levels, when you go back, it's hard to get back to it. As we're, this guy took you so far up here, but now, like you go to another coach, or, even Brian, you as coaching football or whatever, discipline, things like that. And then you go to another team, and then all that's gone. It's like everything goes haywire because no discipline, for instance, stuff like that, where it makes a big difference, and knowledge, knowing players, knowing things to do. I don't know.
Dean?
Yeah, I was I was spoiled because I'm only a stone throw away from the club. And I think in reflection, when these guys were talking, young growing up next to the club, you see the lead team, and then prior to cup match, you had players like Noel Gibbons, Charlie Marshall, and these guys are coming down to train to try to make up match. So here you are, have a 9-year-old boy sitting off, or 10 years old, sitting off, and now you're seeing a level go from watching a league team to go even higher prior to cup match. And I started to witness and see some things that, you're seeing Adrian Keane run in. You're watching Alan Douglas come to training. I've never seen Dougie, right? So now you're seeing this guy come to training. Guys are running between the wickets. You're around the change room, and these guys, of course, are sharing information. You're hearing terminology that you don't normally hear until later on. So I think that pushed me along even further, because once I started to play and looking at these guys, you're looking at Lionel Thomas bat in a training session against Noel Gibbons. Now, they're both trying to make cup match, but you see the intensity, and you see, the competitiveness. And so now you're learning this. So is this what training is supposed to be like? So really and truly, like I said, these guys, when they will come and train, and these guys, the knowledge that is going on is crazy. And then prior to cup match, because at that time, St. George's was on top. So prior to cup match, as a little boy, you're sitting in the meeting, and they're strategizing, and everyone's picking each other's brains. So you're exposed to all of this. And at that time, remember, those guys are really, really good role models. Training, you talk about training, these guys are running around. before training session. They're not waiting for anybody. Most times you see guys, oh, well, we're waiting for training session. Nah, if training session starts 6:30, those guys are there 6 o'clock. And they're doing the extras. And then when the training session officially ends, you're seeing somebody going down the corner, still working out, still hitting catches, still doing stuff. So again, I was exposed to that at at an early age. So, that becomes the norm in your mind, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to look at it now when you go to a cut match training session, and guys are training, but the intensity is not where it used to be. And of course, when Beaver joined us at St. George's, again, with him coming with his knowledge and his his awareness of the game, again, it only enhances. It only enhances players around the club. So everyone has to raise their level. So that's what we are exposed to.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with the former cricketers. We'll be back.
Our old friends Arrowhead Mills was founded in the 1960s in the famous Texas Panhandle with the ambition to promote the production and use of pesticide-free grains, cereals, and pulses. The mission was to bring the most wholesome food attainable to the mainstream markets. Since then, Arrowhead Mills has increased its range of products, most of which are certified organic. You can be sure that Arrowhead Mills know a thing or two about good eats. This month, we're featuring Arrowhead Mills green and red organic lentils. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Welcome back. Dean, and I'm going to ask all three of you the same question. Dean, what did you take from cricket in football, and what did you take from football that helped you in cricket?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I mean, besides having, no one probably knew this, but one of the disadvantages I had in playing football, I had flat feet, man. and you know what I mean? And having flat feet, it's a huge disadvantage. But no, what I enjoyed about football was, besides getting kicked by Dennis a few times, I enjoyed of course the physical stuff, the training. I enjoyed the training. Besides St. George's, taking, 1 year, I think we had girls against. I think we had about 50. So, it was. They taught me like to go through hard times. We weren't the most gifted team in the world, and I remember Randy Horton had us. We were about 16, and I think you played as well, Earl. And he taught us about being resilient. You're losing, but you got to come back the next week and do your best. And so what I was able to transfer is that, on the football field, we weren't as good as other teams, but when it came to cricket, I was able to unleash what we endured on the football field into the cricket. So again, it taught you a lot. But one of the things is just that it's the discipline, is the work ethic, is being consistent. It's all those things. And one of the things that I also learned, and I learned this through Darren, and it was kind of amazing. It's just that you got to be prepared. Have you prepared yourself? And no excuses. So if you have not prepared yourself, you can't cheat. In any sport, you can't cheat. If you're not prepared, then you're going to wing it. And if you wing it, it's going to come out in the end. So that's what I transferred a lot of the, like I said, the work ethic, putting in the work, and just being committed.
What about you, Beaver? What did you take from the three sports you played? Football, hockey, and cricket. What did you take from each sport into the other sport?
I think a lot of it is team. It's not individual. Like individuals, you can do certain things. Like cricket's more. It can be more individual where it shines, but football, hockey, it's team. Like you can't do it all on your own. You know. Yeah, but it's putting in work, man. Work, is the big thing. Work hard, intense. That's what I feel. I feel is what you put in, you're gonna get out. So even intense, be intense in training. A lot of guys are lackadaisical in training where they just come, they're here, I'm here. But if you are intense in training, that carries on to again because it's natural. It's more natural, But yeah, I don't know. Me, I didn't like to lose. I lost a lot at nationals, early in my days where it was hard, but I always gave 100%. That was my big thing. Give my all, do what I could do, and more team person. I mean, there's been times where even one cup match, the morning up, they tell me I'm opening betting. I ain't open betting, Jesus, probably since primary school. But, they tell me open bet. So I'm going to open bet. I'm going to open bet. I mean, I didn't like it as much because I couldn't prep for it. But if that's what, I'm a team person. That's how I feel. If I have to do that, well, I'm doing it for the team. You know what I mean? Then another time, I'm betting first wicket done. I think Somerset had the cup. We're trying to declare it lunchtime. But you know what? I'm first wicket done. But Glenn and them are good. So you know what? I'm a person. I'm a grafter. I'll hang around. I can support. Nope. Send the next guy. Next minute I'm batting number 8, 9. You know what I mean? Because they're sending guys to beat the ball. That's not me. And again, I have no problem with it. You know what I mean? In the end, it's what the team can do. And football is the same thing. If I have to sit and play this position, or if I have to mark this guy and do that, well, I'll do that. You know what I mean? Maybe I like to attack more, but if that's what I have to do for us to succeed, well, I'll do it. So again, it's a lot about not yourself. It's about team. That's what I feel.
And Darren?
Yeah, well, football, I started in the minors at BA, and then David Frabbit approached me about coming to Devonshire Colts, and I went to Devonshire Colts, I guess at 14, and then at 16, and I think Dennis might remember this. I played my first game against Somerset up Somerset, and I remember Jeff Richardson, Tweed, and I believe I took the ball off of somebody. I think it was Lutz. And I got off a shot, and Lou Simmons tipped it to the bar. But when the ball went down the other end, Dennis elbowed me in my ribs, halfway line, and told me, "Hey, don't be coming back down here again."
Come on here, mate.
So that was my baptism, to be honest with you, of football. And believe it or not, I was at a cricket meeting up the stadium, and Gary Darrell called me. And be able to talk about preparation. Gary said, "Get your gear and head Somerset." So I said, "Okay, well, I'm 16. I'll be down the end of the bench making up the number." When he called out the team, I was starting. And, it was, body seat of your pants. But, teamwork is definitely huge in team sports for me. And actual football allowed me to get an education. I ended up going overseas to play. And as soon as I finished college, I came back and concentrated basically mostly on cricket. But it gave me that vehicle to get an education. And I love football. Still watch, and follow it as much as I can. I deal with it a lot with these school kids. But it's just that understanding of you're playing with a team, and it's nothing like having teammates and the socializing that goes with it, fighting for each other. You got each other's back. I mean, you learn so much from that, that you can never trade that back in for those experiences I had, on the football pitch with those guys at Colts. And again, I looked up to them, Lorenzo and Dwayne Trot that was in goal, and those were some great times, man. I definitely never forget them, but I did learn quite a bit from that I now try to pass on to my students, and my kids. But it's something that people need to cherish about, pulling for each other and going to war with each other,
Dennis, you seem to have taken a liking to kind of show these young men that come down there under the field and have a play.
Yeah, you're not making me look dopey. Don't come down here. Don't come down here. But it was all in competitiveness, like these guys said. I remember our sessions at Somerset, man. They was like so competitive. Like we used to knock teeth out and stuff like that, because it was so competitive. And you take that competitiveness and intensity right into the games every weekend. You know what I mean? So, and today it's like, it's like pulling teeth, getting these guys to, train at that level, because it's not like a light switch whereby you take it easy in training and then you think you could turn it on in the game. It doesn't act like that. So it's all about the intensity. It's all about the preparation, which is important. You know what I mean? You fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. And that's in life, in anything. You know what I mean? So, and sports, you gotta put the work in. You don't put the work in, hey, you're lost. So I want to ask everybody a question. What describe sports today? Well, cricket today, the attitudes today, the discipline today, because if you watch cup match, you see players up in each other's face. And I agree with passion. I love passion, but there's a line that you shouldn't cross in cricket. It's a gentleman's sport. Well, there's intense, but it's a line. What do you guys see in relations to the discipline today in compared to yesteryear when you guys played and before that?
Yeah, I think it's a culture now that we have here. Unfortunately, that this is what's taken over our sports, not just cricket. And what I see happening, especially I see it in the education system a lot too, is that when we were coming up, we had a lot of role models that really, groomed us and stood by us and things like that. Where I think we don't have as many as those nowadays. Is giving back to the sport, but having the patience to actually work with these kids, because sometimes the challenges like you had at Wolves, Dennis. Sometimes, man, you're thinking, is it worth sticking this out, or do I move on? You know what I mean? And back in the day, a lot of the older guys stuck it out and held you accountable. Nowadays, I feel that it's people don't have that time to give to ignorance. If people are not serious about what they're doing, they move on, man. And I watched a documentary last night on these three sisters track and field. It's a great documentary. And one of the things I took from that documentary, it's about these three kids out of the projects, and track and field was the way out. The star of that movie for me was not the three kids. It was the lady that was the coach that held them to the break. When they didn't do their homework, well, you didn't run into a season. You sat down. And right now we don't take those avenues to discipline, the kids and all, to make sure they learn from that, and that's something that I remember coaching Warwick Sack, And and bless his heart, Sakai Crockle was the captain of Warwick Sack team. We were playing Salters at Salters, and he was the captain, and he was arguing with his own teammate on the pitch. So I told John Beard, I need a sub. And Beard said, well, you have nobody coming on. I said, nobody's coming on. We're going to play short. And I had 4 guys on the bench. And I called Sakai over and I said, hey, you're captain of this team. You're a role model. You're out there arguing with your teammate. Take a break. Tell me when you're ready to go back on. Well, he went back on 10 minutes later, scored the winner in the 89th minute. Long story short, Crockle got into some mischief. But when he came out one day, he saw me in Grams. And the first thing he said to me, Mr. Lewis, I'll never forget, when you took me off at Salters and played short to teach me a lesson. I'll never forget that. And this is when he was captain of Boulevard. To me, I said, wow, but that's what we're in this for, is to teach these kids some discipline and not worry about winning. You got to worry about, the values that we teach these kids, man. It's not just all about the sports, it's the person as a whole and things like that. And I just think that we don't have enough people with that dedication and to push these kids and to teach them right from wrong and to hurl them to the break, And, I still go through it to this day, and it is tiring. I've been teaching 23 years, and half of them don't even know I played sports, But, I try to teach them that, look, in order to get to the next level, like Beaver said, I tell them it's like putting money in the bank. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out. You put nothing in, you get nothing out of it. And we have a lot of talent on this island. We have a lot of talent across the board in sports. We just don't have the work ethic and the want to use that talent to open up some avenues for us,
Well, I wrote down a lot of stuff right here. And my mind's just going, right? And then I'm going to nail it. First of all, and like you said, Dennis, lack of leadership, right? You're captain of Somerset. Being captain of Somerset, it's a huge responsibility, right? So you would act accordingly, just like Darren said. So in being captain of Somerset, you basically knew that you had the community on your shoulder, on and off the field. So you was a leader. Look at, same person, you're talking about Vandal Smith, the same way. He knew he had the responsibility. So on and off the field. So when you start looking at great captains and great leaders of men, because that's what you were, you're a leader of men. So they knew, I don't care if you're whether you're working at a regular job, whether you're going into a grocery store, you were Somerset's captain, even during, let's say, cricket season. But you knew that responsibility that you had, because you knew eyes were constantly on you. I think these guys forget. They think that, I go out there and flip the coin and that's it. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. The other thing that I wanted to say is respect for the game. This guy, I'll never forget, Darryl Cullinan being here, and he was coaching the national team. He did a stint, the South African cricketer. We came late to the training session. We were 5 minutes late. And he had to go at the whole national team. He was like, let me explain something to you guys. This game is bigger than you. When you leave this game will still be here. This game has changed lives. This game has done so much for people. It's taken them out of poverty. It's done so much around the world. And we just think that, I think we have this concept in our mind that this game is just a game. It's not. You got people all over the world that, whether it be football, cricket, any sport, it's done something for their life. It's improved their lifestyle. It's changed their lifestyle. It's made them a better person. And I think that we don't look at it that way. Sports changes people's lives. The other one, when I heard kids say, oh, I love football. No, you don't. When you love something and you really adore and you have passion for it, that's night and day that you're thinking about it. You want to do everything that you possibly can to improve yourself. It shocks me when I go around and I see senior players, and I just asked, I think just the other day, I asked a guy, I said, listen, has any youngster even came up to you and asked you how can they improve their game? Like, these guys don't even ask questions. Like, it baffles me. You know what I mean? You hear about, and people talk about, let's look at the Bermuda's greatest defenders. Dennis, you throughout the whole season, even probably up until now, how many guys have really called you up and said, Dennis, listen, I've heard that you were Bermuda's best defender, but I want to call you. Is it possible that I can spend a half an hour with you just talking about defending? Like, seriously, during cricket, I'm asking questions. I want to know, how can I get better? So I don't understand, and I think that's where we're stuck. The last thing is and Darren alluded to the fact, how can you not tell me in this day and age that Mark Ray walks into a grocery store and a young person that loves cricket, endures cricket, I don't even know him. Like, seriously? I don't know Darren Lewis. Like, seriously? Like, and that's what really upsets me. And I think this is why we're at the state that we are, because we don't even recognize the people that have provided the pathway for us. Do we actually know where we're going? Because if we knew that the people ahead of us putting in the work, you're talking about, okay, we've been to the World Cup. We've gotten close to the World Cup in football, a small island, right? And you're telling me right now that we don't have this force and this drive to go there again. Because this sport saves lives. I'm totally like baffled. Sorry that I preach, but it's but I no, seriously, it's almost like when you go into these schools and you see that these kids are just playing willy-nilly, I'm like, you gotta be joking. This sport right now is providing opportunities. We didn't even have this back in the day. So it's almost like, the powers that be, we have to start thinking to ourselves like, hey, listen, we gotta get going. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think these guys have covered a lot of it. But the big thing again is discipline. Discipline is the thing, like how we've been talking. When you get away with it, then they feel it's second nature. They could do it. So does it start in the sport, or does it start at home? Where does it start? And then if it starts at the home with the sport, people let them get away with it. So they do it. You do whatever you want. You walk off the field. Next game you're starting. No. That shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? There's no consequences for it. And stuff like that. Like, we have to get back to that, because even in my time, early in my age, I was rude. I was smart with my mouth or whatever, but you would take a lick. You would take a lick quick. At home or whatever. Your neighbor will lick you, and time you get home, daddy's waiting for you, mate, because he knows already. Things like that where, I don't know. It, as the internet was saying again, it's so many avenues now. Like, people have to realize sports is only here for a short period of time. So you need to use it to move on in life, or how you carry yourself on the field carries you as to people looking at you. So, for instance, for myself, jobs. I got a job. How I got a job? Maybe because how I was on the field. You know what I mean? Where people looking at you like that, like, this guy's a hard worker, whatever. Like things like that. And that's what you have to look at. Football's gonna be here to what? You're 20, 30 for football, 30 years old. After that, bro, what you gonna do? You love it, yes, but how long it hangs around? You need to build for the future. And then again, same thing how Darren was saying with the youth. Again, you have to use this to get an education. Like, you don't realize now, and I tell a lot of my work colleagues, little things like that, where You need to use it now that you're young. You need to set yourself up for when you're older, you know, because you're not going to be young always. You know, for instance, where you could do 2, 3, 4 things. Even myself, no. Sometimes I'm gonna think first before I do something. It's like, hold up, can I do that? I don't know why I used to, but not no more, mate. Huh? Come back, come back.
Recovery.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have a long way to go with the youth again, or to get it back to how it was. You
Mm,
know,
mm. Oh,
it's sad to see as to how discipline's going.
mm. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. We'll be right back.
Amy's Kitchen is an independent organic food company, a family business who've been producing wholesome and flavorful foods over 30 years. From their first pot pie right up to 1 million meals a day, and firmly believe in the importance of TLC throughout the entire process. This month we're featuring a range of Amy's organic beans, refried and baked, chilies, medium spicy and beyond, and a multitude of organic soups, minestrone, chunky tomato bisque, cream of mushroom, hearty Thai coconut, and much more. Lindo's, why anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Let me ask, guys, what would you consider your most memorable moment in sport, no matter what sport it was, and why for you?
Most memorable. It could be many. I mean, for me, it's just accomplishing different things. For instance, cup match, playing in that because that's like the biggest day around in the island, you feel. And number one, my first year playing, where we won the cup.
Mhm.
I didn't do anything, but again, you are part of that. Like, which is, it just feels so good, as a team. And then the following year, just say I got MVP. So that's another stage, you go to. But even years before that, going youth cricket, we went Ireland playing in that. That was really something good for me. And even during that year, me and Albert, when we left Ireland, we went straight Indianapolis to play Pan Am games hockey. You know what I mean? And just to be competing in that, because we went there, and sounds funny, like where we lost to the US 3-0. And we're almost celebrating because the US trained for like a year on tour on the run for this, where we're just like, look, me and Albert coming from cricket,
Right.
just filling in, doing what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? And it's not professional for us, and that's the thing. Like, people have to realize a lot of times we're not getting paid. So even for instance with the soccer, cricket, whatever, hockey, football, anything, that people are putting time in, but you're not getting a lot out of it as to financial. You know what I mean? So, for instance, again, cricket or football, these guys might just say, for instance, cricket. So they're training 3 nights a week for the squad. And then you're playing Saturdays and Sundays. It's a big commitment for it.
Mhm.
You really have to love that to do that. You know what I mean? And especially this day and age, it's hard because, with prices of things, how things are, financially, you got to be stable or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's so many things, man. And again, through Shell, everything, like it's just a growing process. To me, it's not one individual thing that stands out to me, a lot. Even like now, even for instance, playing golf. Like I think I probably put more time in golf now than I put in any other sport. As to individual, like going out and it's amazing, like because just say when I started at my job or whatever, some guys would go out and play or whatever. So we started out there, but like I can't be at this level. That's how I feel. Like I want to be better. You know what I mean? So I go out and I put time in. So guys are like, how you, bro? You got to put time in. You got to do something. You could do it in your yard, or, you know, again, what you put in is what you get out. You know what I mean? And things like that. And it's, I don't know. Hey, it's something, And again, hey, it's just amazing to me as to everything doing. Like I'm just so thankful. You know what I mean? I'm just thankful for where I was brought up. Even being at nationals, for they had everything there. And for instance, like Danny Fagunda, they used to grumble about we kids running around kicking footballs in the hockey net. But it's like, look, let them, leave them. Where else they gonna go? Then they're gonna be out in the street doing something. You know what I mean? Let them play. Let them play. Let them go. Be. They're here. They're here. We can watch them from up here, type of thing. And just little things like that. Like it's so touching to me, for it all. Not as to an individual thing, but just growing through it, and now trying to give back. I don't give back a lot in sports, but I try to talk to people or to help them through life, And again, like I was saying, you got youngsters at my job, or using this to help you move forward. This use this. This is a stepping stone for you, but you could do other things other than this job also. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a few things for me. I mean, it's a list. I mean, to play in the first international youth tournament, to win it in 1985, to get asked to go to the first ever McDonald's World Cup in Australia, that was in '88. I pushed on. I went to cup match, came MVP. Of course, we won a cup match and things like that. Then to qualify for the World Cup, then to go to the World Cup. So when I look back, I mean, one word that I always say, it's just blessed. I was just absolutely blessed to go on this cricket journey that afforded me the opportunity. I mean, even playing in England for 2 years, to play overseas, to play for a club in England. So, it's a lot of different standouts. And again, I look at it and coming from a very small island and having afforded these opportunity, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But just like, but at the end of the day, it's the camaraderie of meeting other people from different walks of life. I think that's something that I very much cherish. And they're humans. You say they're humans, and they respect you and you respect them. So it's just for me, just having friendships, meeting people from all over the world, and just having these friendships. It's like it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, man. But and that's why I would encourage all the youngsters when I'm teaching and everything like that. I said, listen, if you have the opportunity, I mean, I got the opportunity to go to school at Old Dominion University for a football scholarship. And you go there and you meet other athletes from all different walks of life, and you guys you're on the same pathway. You're studying. They're training, you're training. So you're talking from somebody from basketball, American football, and it's just like you're just talking. And but this journey that you're on as an athlete, it's crazy because everyone's got different experiences. But the one thing that brings us all together is you gotta have work ethic, commitment, and you gotta be disciplined. And you all have these different experiences, different upbringings. So it's been a beautiful journey, man. It really, really is, and long-lasting friendships.
Aaron?
Yeah, venture to say, I guess, like Dean, definitely the 85 winning it. Especially, I went in 81 to Denmark, and then I went in 83 to Holland, and we got spanked in those two tournaments. But from each tournament, it developed me. And then I think the sweetness of 85, it was done at home in front of our crowd, our local crowd. And I think that's the closest I've ever seen Somerset to cup match without it being cup match with the support we had, the international youth tournament. Making Somerset cup match was a goal of mine as a youngster. And, like when Beaver and all we guys played in the yard, that's something, we thought about, we dreamt out. And I don't know if Dennis knows this, but Dennis was the one that told me I made cup match. I don't know if you realize that.
That was a long time ago.
Hey, we were up the touch upside Sam Princess.
I
didn't hang around and listen to the team and all. He was the one that told me.
I can't even remember last week. You talked about in the 80s.
Yeah. I should have wrote it down.
I should have.
Yeah. And then, I've dealt with some disappointments, with the eye that came 2 weeks before my third cup match. But all of that is life experiences, the good and the bad. And I'm a firm believer in life that things happen for a reason, So, it set me back a little bit mentally because, I stopped playing cricket when I was 24. You know what I mean? So that definitely, I felt, I got out of the game that I loved real early. And, but then as a teacher, I'm hoping that I'm giving back to the kids that I've had at Worksack, at Spice Valley. And, we talked about school cricket, but I remember having a team one time with Malachi Jones, Dion Starkle, Cayman Tucker, and, playing against Stephen Otterbridge and Shannon Rayner and those guys down Shelley Bay Field. I mean, that's some good cricketers that we had on the same pitch at the same time, But I've had highlights in sports, but I've had some personal highlights as well. But like Dean said, I'm thankful, and I just continue to try to help the youth, as a teacher. And then from my personal stuff, like Beaver said, we guys are going into golf, and Beaver's now someone that I look up to because, about training, about putting the time in, to improve, so that's something that, I look to work on each week, so it's just been good, man. I'm just growing up again around these guys, and it's when we get together, it's really fun times to reminisce.
Dennis?
Yeah, to Beaver and Darren, I know why Dean played for St. George's in cup match. Beaver, did you have any desire to play for Somerset, or was always St. George's? And same thing with Darren. Did you always have the desire to play for Somerset, or
I think I was more St. George's when I was younger. Mill, Clevey, Charlie, all them guys. When you're in the yard, that's who you are, or whatever. But when Darren and Albert made Somerset cup match, that's where I wanted to go. Like that would have been my thing, to go there. You know what I mean? Because again, I look up to these guys a lot. And that's my thing. Because Darren matured. Darren was mature, a lot more mature than his age, from young, as to knowledge even that of the game or whatever. And he was someone that inspired me always, to push myself or whatever, things like that. And that's where I wanted to go. But again, I mean, hey, I was very thankful that St. George's approached me, Dean and Clay or whatever. Hey, and I would never turn it down. I mean, for sure, playing for the club, I was very thankful, and I learned so much. And you're around again people, that like now, like brothers to me. You built a relationship that even if I don't see you for a year, when we get back together, when I see you, it's like we never left. You know what I mean? And that's the big thing with it. Like I love, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff like that with a lot of people. You build a good relationship, and anytime in need for anything, they're there. They're there for you, and it's nice. But yeah, I ended up, I guess, where I was supposed to be. Huh?
Whatever.
I think you're right in that.
Yeah.
No comment.
Dean, I want to know how come Dennis didn't ask you, but it's good. Go ahead, Darren.
Oh, Dean stayed right on the field.
That's right. That's all right. Yeah, you have people that stayed in Severe with going over to their summers.
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
won't do
times
that.
have changed a lot. Like even that. I mean, years ago, do you think that would have happened? How it was more like east or west. You know what I mean? If you're just say from Rack or whatever back Pembroke, you're good west. You know, the other side you're good east.
Yeah.
But I don't know. No, everything is whatever.
Yeah, well, for me, it was the guys I had at Devonshire Rec. Coached me to go that way. Now I had Lionel Thomas pulling me the other way, and I had one time Renault had was talking to me about St. George's, etc., etc. So when I got the invitation to go Somerset, because back in those days you had to be invited to come train, and you had to play minimum of 4 trial matches, and again that no longer exists. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, because the competition was fierce. You had to really compete and perform. And in all honesty, I mean, the year before I went in '88, when I was reserve, I had one of my best seasons ever and didn't make it. So the next year I didn't have such a good season, and I was surprised. Like I said, when Dennis told me, "Hey, you made the team," but that's what happens. You know what I mean? And that was where I was lured to go towards Somerset. Was from Barry Cole and Sayre and Joe Smith. At Devonshire Rec, because they were Somerset heavy with representatives that were at the Rec at the time.
Sure. Other one there?
Dean?
I had no choice, or I would have to move out of St. George's.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that would have been it, bro.
Okay, one of my last questions for you guys is: all of you represent the Bermuda. How important is it because I heard Beaver talk about the relationships and the friendships, and how important is it to have a good relationship with your national team teammates, outside of Bermuda, in Bermuda for the training and stuff like how important is the camaraderie and stuff like that at a national team level?
I'll go. I'll tell you a short story, which was I remember in the Arboretum when I was 15 years old, and I think this was when it changed for me. We had Eugene Rayner was our fitness coach, and Darren, of course, was the captain. And I'm only 15 years old. I think I was probably the youngest in the team. And we had to run over this embankment. And, guys were struggling and whatever. We had Richard, Dexter. We guys are running. And again, putting in the work. And during that time, the great experience was Darren as leader. He basically, come on, Chung. You know what I mean? And he was like, hey, pull the whole team over the hill, because I think the only two that was out in front was close behind was Hawks, but I think Albert and Darren was out in front. So the whole team was being pulled by the captain, and I think that's when he basically really in all training sessions, put the hand on your back. Hey, come on, let's go, let's get going. And so that's when you start to formulate those beautiful relationships, because here's this guy that is connecting to guys like Troy Harford and Shea Pitcher, and so when you see the connection pieces, and he had this, he didn't stroke it with just one brush. He had a personal relationship with everybody. But when you talked about it early on, when you formulate a culture within your dressing room, it maintains itself, and then you start to move in the right direction. But in that camaraderie, if we're at St. George's, and I remember B saying to me, "Hey, yo, let's do some extras." And I'm saying like, "Yeah, I'm tired, but let's go, man." And you'll do it. Because here's a guy that's saying like, look, I'm looking out for you, but I'm gonna get some more. And that's how you start to formulate your relationships, man. It's amazing. You got a call in the middle of the week from, hey, yo, what's up? What you doing? Hey, be training early today. I want to do some stuff. Can you help me out? And that, because these guys, they want to see you get better, and that's the difference. And you got people in that dressing room that want the best for you. It makes you better because you don't want to let nobody down. So that you're a part of a team. Don't be the weakest link. We need you. When you heard that, man, it means the world to you, man.
Yeah, actually in my thesis when I did in graduate school was about player coach relationships, because I'm still strong in everyday life. I mean, in any walk of life, any institution, school, work, team, coach, it's about relationships, man. Communication, and if those relationships are strong, normally performance and production is going to be up. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And Beaver will tell you, I used to do a lot of research in psychology, man, when I was coaching nationals, man, because you had so many different personalities coming to the table, man, and no 2 days are alike. So you had to find what made each individual tick. A Bruce Parentief, a Beaver, a Jason, a John. You might not be able to approach all four of them the same way. So you have to know them individually in order to pull the best out of them. And any successful coach in any sport, is huge on player relationship and communication and respect. Like Dean said, even to this day, I believe, don't tell somebody else do something if you're not gonna do it yourself. So if I'm gonna tell them work hard and I'm not gonna work hard, your respect's gone. So you have to put the work in to lead by example. And then they say, wow, I see them doing it. You gotta do it, I mean, at my job today, I'm not gonna tell anybody that works with me that, mop the floor, somebody spilled hot chocolate. I could do it, myself. It's stuff that you gotta lead, and that's what builds respect, when people see that, you could do it too, you're gonna do it, you're gonna put the hard work in. And then it's just transparency and honesty. I just think that builds the communication, and in the national team level, Dennis, I'm playing in national teams that the communication and the respect's been poor. And I will tell you, we've not been successful. Tom will tell you in the 85 team, we work like a machine, and it just built from game to game, got stronger and stronger, so that final up Somerset, you know what I mean? You could just feel, the aura in the change room. You got Scaly, you know what I mean? Scaly, you always got to have a Scaly in the team that's going to come from the team up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that's what it takes, Then, as in the midfield, you got to have that enforcer.
Yeah.
And, rough some people up, But that's what sets the tone, and that's who you want to go war with, And unfortunately, I've played on a lot of teams that's been missing. But I've had played on some teams that it's been there and been successful,
Diva?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Again, like Darren was just saying, you knowing your people. You have to know people, man, to what they like to do, how they like to receive the ball, or, the strengths or the weaknesses. But then people are done, you have to lift them. You have to say, you know what? Again, I'm gonna step in for you today, bro. I'm got your back. You know what I mean? And that's the big thing where someone has your back. So this guy tackled me, but I'm got a yellow card. But you know what, bro? I'm got it. I'll get it for you. You know what I mean? I'll take a yellow. you know, and little things like that where it, you're one. Again, it's not individual. And that's what people have to realize. Again, you know, you put all your work in and do what you got to do, but it's a team. And everybody has to be as one on the same page to do the same thing to get what you need accomplished. And that's the big thing where I could trust you, you know, so I know you. And again, same thing we've been saying all this time where it carries on afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's on the field now, but when I finish, we're still here. Or you go outside and just, hey, you know, I'm stepping in for you here. You know what I mean? Where I have to, or to help you to move ahead. Again, as to, you know, life. Because again, a thing at Colts, when I went back to Colts, so I moved around a little bit football, and then I went back Colts, and Vic Ball and David Furby took over. And one of the discipline things was you need a job. You know what I mean? So this is the team, and I know the team. But as I said earlier, football is only going to take you so far. If you don't have a job, come to us, and we'll find you something. But nobody's playing on this team without a job. You know, and Brian, you are a key person again for that, for as to the discipline. But in the end, knowing people. So I know how you are. You could run the neighborhood here, Brian, but you're not running it out here. You know what I mean? And that's the big thing. You know, knowing people again, like you say, everybody's individual. I might be happy, and again, you're the prime person where you'll jump in somebody's chest as coach. You'll grab him. But this next guy, you can't do that to him because you'll break him. You know, so you know how you have to take him. You know, and that's the big thing again, where it helps so much just knowing personnel. That again, when you're on that field, you know you got them because I knew you. You know.
Weaver, before I let Dennis ask his last question, give us a little something about Dennis when he was coaching Wolves.
I'm just got good things to say about him again because
that's what you were saying before you started.
He was a person again, right? That again, discipline, man. You like I just said, you could run the areas, you could do whatever around here. When you're on the field, you're mine. You can't do all that here, bro. This is what we gotta do, and that's it. I'm gonna make you or I'm gonna break you. You know, and again, he will grab somebody. He will grab somebody quick, bro. You know, or I'll show you. And when you come here, and again, people know him from playing. When you come down here, I'm hitting you. You're gonna feel me. You know, and like how Darren was saying with that, for instance, myself, when I was young, I was like 16. I played for Hotels, so that was one of the first teams they started with. You know, I played them like out the rack. So I came on out the rack. We were playing Cougars. I think it could have even been a semi-final, right? So I came on, run that tuba. So, you know, a couple little things off the ball. Tuba gave me a jail fight. Hey, I'm not coming over here no more. Hear me? One of those things. It put so much fear in me, bro. It was unbelievable. And then after the game, right? In the changing room, he came in there. So no, I'm fearing like, what is with this guy coming in? Oh, routine, well done, mate. You know what I mean? Like, bro, that's on the field, and that's the thing we have lost as to. I'm getting away from things, but on the field, it's a battle, and that's what I say. For instance, myself now. If anybody knows me, when we're on that field, bro, how close we are, I'm kicking you, I'm tearing you, I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna do whatever I have to. But after the game, that's all done. That's what we are out there to do. You know what I mean? We're battling, but now we're back to life now. You know what I mean? Or this is the next stage. We're moving on. And let's be friends or whatever. And I feel that now I go Somerset or whatever, or wherever I go. You know what I mean? Go, hey, what's up, brother? Someone from 30 years ago battling against, you know? Oh, this boy used to kick me up or something, blah, 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 you know? Yeah, and that's the way. And that's what you want. You want to build something like that, you know what I mean? And it's good. But unfortunate now, like I said, how days are going, gosh.
All right, Dennis.
Yeah, my last question I asked this everywhere. What advice would you give to any young sportsman or sports woman? Because they have so many pathways now to sports. I wish I would have had a quarter or whatever. Opportunities that these guys have nowadays, guys and girls have nowadays, in sports. What advice would you give them to go to another level? Like,
Let's start with you, Darren.
Yeah, well, funny enough, Dennis, today I have a class, well, at Saltus for elite athletes. It's called the SEEK program. And basically, it's for those kids that have ambitions to play at the collegiate level, because I'm big in education. So I don't teach PE anymore. I just take these SEEK classes from middle school right up to senior school. And what I spoke to them about today is to develop the passion and desire to want to fulfill your potential. What happens with us here is that we're used to handouts, hand-me-downs. It's gonna come anyway, etc. But I've assisted many kids that go prep school. They leave Bermuda early and go prep school, and then they end up doing very well. And one reason is because they're put in an environment where everybody is trying to do well. For some reason in Bermuda, it's not cool to work hard to do well. And I still can't figure it out. And it blows my mind that we have to lose a lot of our up and coming kids to prep schools because we cannot provide that environment here. So what I tell them today is that when you guys are now booking a vacation during summer breaks, your family, instead of booking it around Mickey Mouse, you need to book it around showcases, ID camps, whatever sport you're doing, to try to get in the shop window for college coaches to see your talent. And I assist them. I have 2 kids going this Friday that have tryouts next week at 4 different universities in South Carolina. And then, as you would know, Ricky Wright, I'm still in touch with him, who's actually helping me to get these kids, to these 4 schools to hopefully be able to fulfill their dreams. But, the part here is that we just don't want to put the time in to work hard. And I'm very serious about what I do as an educator. And I told the kids today, I'm not babysitting. This particular program is to work hard to try to get to the next level. And academics is a big part of it, So I just think that, we just got to develop a desire to want to be good, but to put the work in to be good. Like David said, you don't practice golf, you ain't gonna be good. You know what I mean? If you don't practice anything, you ain't gonna be good. If you don't study for an exam, you're not gonna do well. And it goes back to the 5 P's. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. That's something I've always preached, man. Not just in sport, but in life. If you're not preparing, don't think you're gonna do well.
Yeah.
And it's just something that then you'll see a kid that goes to a prep school from Kenya or something, and you tell him, run up the side of the building, he's gonna try it because that's his way out of where he lives. But we have it good in Bermuda. You know what I mean? So it's not essentially a way out for these kids, but so they don't understand the work that's needed to create these opportunities for them. The sad part is we have the talent here.
Yeah.
We have the talent. It's just that we just lack that work ethic that it takes to be the best that you can be. And like even Peter said before, the sports career window is very short. Very short. You know what I mean? So you want to try to do the best you can, get the highest level you can, get an education, solid job, and be, a contributor in society, But it's just something that I'll continue to the day I don't breathe anymore to try to help kids to understand that there's a bigger world out there. And you have a talent, but you got to put the work in, and then there are some doors that's going to open for you.
Yeah. Well,
You?
Yeah, I say again, you have to push yourself. You have to push yourself. And again, the window is small. It's gonna close. If you're gonna try to get in, because again, it's not going to be there for long. A lot of opportunities. There's so many opportunities now for the youth to excel. You have to use it. And again, if you don't take the opportunity now, you're saying, I ain't ready yet, but another 2-3 years, bro, that could be closed. You have to take your chances now and use it. And again, it's for you, for your future. And that's the thing. A lot of times we don't realize with things how good we have it, and that's what people don't see. Again, being away, CAC games, Cuba, for instance, these people use that sport to get out. They want to get out. You know what I mean? Or and you don't realize it. Look, they're coming to us like, look, asking for your boots or something like that. Like what boots? This guy paying for the national team, but they don't have. We have it too easy. You know what I mean? And you don't see it until you get out and see the world where how good we have it. Other places isn't. And using it, like I said earlier, for your future. This is the start. You could build off of this. Push yourself. Don't stop. And again, it's not just sports. It's life. It's life in general. You have to push yourself in a job, anything. Are you happy just being normal, or do you want to excel more? Stuff like that.
Dean?
Yeah, I used to, like Darren's experience, I used to have kids walk up to me and they say, Mr. Miners, I want to be a professional footballer. And I would say back to them, and I want to be an astronaut. And so basically what used to happen is like, what is this problem? Like I said, well, I really want to be an astronaut, but I don't know what to do to get to be an astronaut. So do you know what you have to do to be a professional footballer? And so they would, oh, well, no, but I want to be. I said, yeah, well, okay. So then we talk about, well, what's the plan? And a lot of the kids that grow up with this, I want to be a professional footballer, but it's almost like, okay, you got to do your research. You got to find out, okay, what's the pathway? What's the plan? And I think that's the difference with our kids and a lot of the kids, of course, in the West Indies and everything. Okay, what's the pathway? Who do I need to network with to get to where I need to go? And all you have to do is just basically open up your mouth. Do you know, and it surprises me, even in this island, just like Darren was saying, we have so many contacts, so many people throughout this whole island that know people outside of Bermuda that can actually help these kids get to where they got to go. But a lot of the kids, I mean, knock on the door. If Darren has got these so many opportunities overseas, getting kids into college or whatever the case may be, and the conversation goes around, go knock on his door. Listen, Mr. Lewis, I really want to go. This is what I'm doing. Okay, well, boom. But the thing about it, I think a lot of situations is, they have these aspirations, they have these dreams, but they sit and wait. No, you gotta go knock on the door. No one's gonna open up the door. And so, and I think that's the problem that we're having. The other problem that I see with a lot of our kids today is the theory side, and I see it even in senior cricket and football. The theory of the game. Do you know the game? Do you know the rules? Do you know the regulations? Do you know how it's almost like, I think in our era, and I don't want to make myself seem older, but I think in our era, we knew the game, we knew the theory of the game, we knew the rules. So if you know the rules, you know how to maneuver your way through. But how can you tell me, you come to the wicket and don't know that this and this and this? We used to be, okay, guess what? 3 guys behind square, I'm having a go. And then you already know. And then the umpire's like, what happened? Yeah, you got 3 behind. So it's so many different things. But like you said, with our sports today, with nutrition, fitness, psychology, you're talking about the theory of it. These kids, they've already, we had to figure it out for ourselves, but now everything, it's been organized in such a way that what is my nutrition, everything's sectioned off, that in each section you have to know.
Well, Dennis, amazing.
Yeah, it is, man. It's nice. I really like to hear of the journey of all these sportsmen and women that come on the show, and these guys are they haven't surprised me because to watch them in sports and to see what they got out of sports, it doesn't surprise me the work that they put in to be what they were in sports. You know what I mean? So yeah, this was a very nice, enlightening show. You know what I mean? Enjoyed having you guys on, and
Thank you.
yeah.
Gentlemen, again, on behalf of Dennis and myself, I want to thank you very much for joining us here on a walk down memory lane. I think a lot of people would have gotten a lot of this, reliving those moments that you guys are actually talking about, and hopefully them rekindling themselves in your minds and being able to express them makes you feel good as well, because when you go through it, you don't have time to think about it. But as you get older, you tend to think about it and reminisce about those things. So again, glad that we got a chance to do it together. And folks, next week we'll be back with another edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. Enjoy your night. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Earl. Thanks,
Thanks a lot.
Dennis.
Yes,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
All right.